Brilliant. Well, welcome to this evening. Thank you so much for logging in this evening. I will not keep you too long, but I really wanted an opportunity just to share some information with you, whether you're a new parent to sixth form or a new parent to Downend, or even if you've had a child come through sixth form before, just to really kind of update and share some information. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint now. Yeah. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that and hear me. So a little bit of information about the sixth form. We currently have 161 students in sixth form this year, so we aren't a big centre. We have 71 students who've joined us in year 12, which is a smaller year group for us compared to our year 13, but they are a wonderful year group so far, and they've been so engaged, which has been so lovely to work with them over the last few weeks. The majority of our students in year 12 take 3 A-levels or equivalent. So some of them will be doing Cambridge technical qualifications, or they're doing BTEC qualifications, for example, in engineering or criminology and health and social care. And really just to reassure that these qualifications do carry the same weighting for university entrance or on apprenticeship applications for students. I know that's sometimes a question we get asked, but they are kind of at the same level as A-levels as well. It's just that they have a higher coursework level. We do have some students doing an additional qualification. A small group of our students do choose to take a 4th A-level if they feel they can cope with that additional workload. And some students are doing an additional 1-year qualification in year 12. So we have some people resitting their GCSE maths. Some students have chosen to take core maths, and some students have also chosen to take the extended project qualification, which we had a number of students sign up for yesterday. Some of our students do also have supervised study on their timetables, where they will work closely with Mrs. Budden, our sixth form learning mentor, and she's going to introduce herself in a few slides' time and just tell you a little bit more about her role. So I thought it would be really useful to share a typical week with you for a sixth former. All of a sudden our students have had this massive change from GCSE, and they've got this additional time on their timetable that's not structured and they're not in lessons. So we know for some students they find that transition really difficult. There's also a massive change in the way we tutor in sixth form from main school. They are not in every morning, and they do have different things on their timetables, such as the core and enrichment. So I'm going to talk about a little bit each of one of those and what they entail, and also why we put them on the timetable, why we feel they're so important that students engage with these extracurricular opportunities. So students are only asked to come in to tutor 1 morning a week, and that's on a Tuesday morning. They are required to be in at 8:45, and as part of that they meet with their tutor and spend some time with them. I will share some more information shortly. You will also see on a Thursday morning it says mentoring. Now that isn't necessarily they are in on a Thursday morning, but every term students have one-to-one mentoring sessions, and that's an agreed time between the tutor and the student when they sit down and talk kind of about how they're getting on and their career pathways, because we're really aware by the time they hit sixth form that they're all on very different routes, whether they're choosing to go to university or into an apprenticeship. So we feel it's really important to work one-to-one with them and not just in big group situations. Students have 10 periods a fortnight per subject on their timetable, which does leave them their study periods, and we like to call them study periods rather than free periods, and we'll talk about how we've supported students with these shortly. On a Wednesday afternoon we have our enrichment programme, and this is when students get to do a little something extra. So a little bit more information about those different elements. The role of the tutor in sixth form is very different. They offer both academic and pastoral support like they've done in main school, but like I just mentioned, a lot of that happens on a one-to-one basis. So on a Tuesday morning we do require them to be in at 8:45, and that's when they have the opportunity to meet as a group and tutors share information, and we focus on some contemporary issues or key campaigns that are going on in society at that time, and it's a chance really just for the tutor and the students to spend some time together and really get to know them, because they're going to be tutoring them for the next 2 years, and at the end of that they are going to be providing their UCAS references, their apprenticeship references, or references for employment. So it's really important we feel that students and tutors still have that opportunity to build a relationship. They'll also provide career support and guidance to students through those one-to-one mentoring meetings. They spend a lot of time looking at Unifrog, our careers platform, with students, and just supporting and guiding and kind of helping them figure out what those next steps are going to be. So they do act as a point of contact for you if you need them. Now, actually, all of my tutors are online this evening, so I'm just going to pause the presentation because I know they're all really just keen to kind of say hi to you. So I'm going to mute, and should we go in alphabetical order? Claire, do you want to start, just kind of say hi?
Hi, sorry, I haven't got much of a voice at the moment, so apologise if you can't hear me. My name's Claire Abrahams. I'm a Year 12 tutor for several years. My specialism is English. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Claire. I'm so sorry you don't have a voice. John, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is John Fowle. I've been a tutor for, I don't know, 10 years or something, on and off. And I sort of lead the RS department and teach a number of politics students and philosophy students at A-level as well. So pleased to meet you, and hope to meet you sometime in the future.
Thank you, John. Mark?
Hello, I'm Mark Kemain. I've just joined Down End School, but I have a lot of experience as a tutor in previous schools. Teach design technology and engineering. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Mark. Kath?
Yeah, hello, I am Catherine Love. I lead the languages department, and I also teach in A-level French. Yeah, and great to meet you all.
Thank you, Kath. And obviously, Sean, we're saving the best till last.
Oh, obviously. Yeah, I'm Sean Vickery. I'm the social sciences teacher. I probably teach quite a lot of your students. I teach psychology, sociology, health and social care, and criminology. Okay, so, and I tutor 12V. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. So if any of you do have questions for tutors, please do feel free to drop any questions you have. And I should have said this at the start, if you've got any questions during this evening, please do drop them in the chat, and I will put up all of the tutors' emails at the end. If you do want to contact them, they will get back in contact with you. But please do feel free to email them if you've got any questions throughout the year in how we can support your sons or daughters. They will always be very happy to talk to you and work with you. So I'm just going to put the presentation back up now. Okay, so a little bit more about some of the core elements of sixth form. On Tuesday mornings, following the tutor period from 9:05 to 9:55, we do ask all our Year 12s to be in, and there are no Year 12 lessons running during this time other than the core programme. So this really is our opportunity to get all of Year 12 together, based in the common room normally, and we deliver a whole range of opportunities throughout the year. So this term we've already focused on looking at study skills and kind of managing time and just looking after ourselves, and actually talking about work-life balance, because we know that can be incredibly stressful for sixth formers when they're trying to balance A-levels and part-time jobs and learning to drive and all of those other activities. It's an incredibly busy 2 years, so we're just trying to get them into some good study habits that will support them through that. We've also had Yui in last week to talk about taking opportunities and just thinking about the skills they develop to help think about how they're going to sell those skills when it comes to applications over the next couple of years, because they're all incredibly skilled young people, but sometimes it can be very difficult to talk about how you've demonstrated those. So we're going to work with them on that. Next week, we'll be looking at other opportunities they can take. We've already launched our Access to Bristol scheme, where students can apply to attend a series of lectures at Bristol University, but we'll also be launching other access schemes at a variety of universities around the country that students can attend either physically or kind of online, and other little opportunities that they'll get to take part in. After the October half-term break, we do some focus on health and well-being, and we have a variety of different guest speakers in to talk about how to look after themselves and manage their kind of own mental health and well-being. We're doing some things about the importance of exercise and first aid, and just some other kind of key things that we think are relevant to them at this age group that they perhaps haven't talked about so much in main school. After the February half term, we tend to move and focus more towards careers. We know that students, particularly if they're thinking of applying to Russell Group universities and Oxbridge applications or professional applications, at this point really do need to be getting started. So we really kind of focus students on researching the careers and what their post-18 options are. We've already taken them all to the UK Apprenticeship and University Fair last week. In April, we'll be taking them over to Newport to attend the UCAS convention to find out more. And what we say to all our students is we don't think any way is better than another way. If they want to go an apprenticeship route, an employment route, a university route, we will support them on any route they take. But we do ask that they just research everything so they make informed decisions by the time they leave us. Coming into term 5, we'll have a real focus on revision skills as we come into the end of year 12 exams and just really looking at different ways that they can revise and manage their workload. And again, towards the end of it, we go back to that career research, and that really is us starting the UCAS application process and getting all the kind of paperwork side of it done as UCAS launches for the entry for 2025 when they will be starting. So a little bit more about our enrichment programme. So on the Wednesday afternoon, students have 2 periods of enrichments. This is 1:25 till 3:05. And as part of this, we ask students to do a little something extra. Now, we know it's incredibly competitive for all the different routes that students can choose, and students will be going in with very similar grade profiles. So we feel it's really, really important that students have that opportunity to do something additional to help them stand out a little bit from the crowd. And for some students, this may be completing their EPQ qualification or doing their core maths qualification, or if a student's doing a GCSE maths resit, they use this time on a Wednesday afternoon up until they've passed that exam, because we feel that's a really important focus for them. For other students, we provide a variety of opportunities. So we'll be focusing on looking at community work and enrichment over the next 2 terms, and we'll be working with a local charity called Wings of Hope. And this is a charity that's about our students supporting students in less developed countries to raise money for their education. And we just feel it's a great way for students to set up charity events and just give a little something back. So that will be one opportunity students will be hearing more about over the next couple of weeks. Some students choose to go and support lower school activities. We are launching our student listening service in year 12 this year. It's a new incentive we'll be doing, and a number of our students have signed up for that to receive training where they can work as mental health support for lower school students, and they'll be looking at how they can support students lower down the school, just supporting them really and having a chat with them if they need it, which will look great on applications. A number of our students also choose to go back out into the community and work at local food banks or charity shops or other places that are looking for volunteers. And again, really all important to build up those skills and show that they can demonstrate something wider than their academic studies. We also use some of the time later in the year for future aspiration development time. So by that I mean we ask students to look at supercurricular activities, and perhaps if they're interested in going a particular career route or into a particular subject, we provide opportunities for them to do something outside of the confines of the curriculum, again really to help them stand out as they go through the next 2 years and prepare for those next steps. So study periods, I mentioned earlier, students do have a number of free periods on their timetable, and we don't like to call them free periods because we do like to kind of encourage students to use them effectively. So during these study periods, students can study on or off site. We're not a massive sixth form centre, and our classrooms are often in use, but we do have a number of classrooms allocated for each session. And outside the classroom, students may have already noticed there's timetables, so they can see which rooms are free, and they are always welcome to go and work in those quietly. They can grab a laptop or any study materials they need and go and head off to a classroom. All the common rooms there for quiet study during lesson times, although we use it as our social space more at break and lunchtime. We also have a supervised study room, and we're really, really lucky in sixth form to have this facility. And this is where students can work with our sixth form study support coordinator. Now, I'm going to hand over to Kim for a moment now. I'm just going to let her put her mic and camera on, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her role and study support. So Kim, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, I'm Kim Budden, And yes, my main role in sixth form is to provide academic support for all of our students so that they can exceed or meet their predicted grades. What this actually means is it involves me providing study support. This can be on a one-to-one basis or in a group, and it does tend to be within our supported study room, which is in sixth form. A lot of students will come and they will request help, and they often ask for things like help with their organisation, if they want to sort out their folders, or if they need help with time management. Quite often they ask about their independent study periods because they know that they're not using them effectively, and they want to find out how they could actually do that. And I also help with sometimes note taking and a lot with revision techniques, because some students find it very hard to retain the information. Now, as you can imagine, not all students who need help actually request it. So then we rely on teachers or progress review data that can help us identify the students that need that support. Sorry, my picture just went then, so I'm back. I can see myself. So it's really important to us to make sure that everyone gets the help they need, and quite often that is going to be within the study room. Students will come in 2-3 periods a week, and we will go through their workload and make sure that they are keeping up to date. I will say that parents can also contact us, and my email address is on the last slide of the presentation. So if you feel that your son or daughter actually needs support, then please do contact us. Another aspect of my role is pastoral care, because obviously if someone has poor mental health, they can often struggle with their studies. And I'm the person that if they come and talk to me, then I will be able to signpost them. And quite often we use our wellbeing and mental health lead in school, so there is support available. Finally, my final role is a lot of students have an idea of what their pathway is going to be after sixth form. It could be university, it could be applying for apprenticeship, it could be a gap year. And it's my role to help them understand the different pathways that are available. So we get loads of opportunities that come from different universities, from businesses, and I make sure that students are aware of them and actually try and encourage them to participate. In year 13, my role is actually to run the apprenticeship programme, and what that means is that I provide support every term on a different topic. It starts off when we look at researching careers so that people have an idea of the sort of jobs that are out there, and we look at the different apprenticeships within our area. We then move on to writing CVs, cover letters, so that they're actually prepared. And then we move on to interview preparation. So I help them with scenario-based questions. We organise mock interviews. And for the students that need it, we organise group assessment sessions. So there's quite a lot of support. We then move on to applications and helping them with their applications. So as you can see, my role is very varied. I am a non-teaching member of the team, and I am available and I am there every day to help students and to make sure they get the support they need. That's me.
Thank you so much, Kim. Just to reiterate, please do contact us. We know we like to encourage students in sixth form to be independent and look after themselves, but sometimes we're also really aware that they don't always ask for the help that they need, particularly at the start of year 12. So do drop us an email and just say, you know what, we think they're struggling, or we think they're perhaps a little disorganized, or whatever it is, and we will pick that up and work with them, because we know if we can solve those problems quickly in year 12, that's going to pay dividends by the end of year 13 in terms of their exam grades. So just really some other kind of key information that I thought would be useful for you to find out about this evening. Now, hopefully your sons and daughters have come home and talked about the sixth form bursary, and all of this information is on the website, and we have received some applications, but just to kind of explain a little bit more about it. When students move into sixth form education, some of the support that was available in lower school changes. So things such as pupil premium funding disappears in sixth form, but there is a 16 to 19 bursary available, and this is a pot of money we get from the government to help support students with education related costs. And for anyone who meets some of the criteria that you can see on the slide now, we can offer support to students in terms of financial support with things such as the cost of trips or resources, revision materials, for example. If a student walked to school and needed a coat, for example, we could support that kind of thing with it. Some of it's done in kind, so any student receiving bursary will not have to pay for their own textbooks. We will always provide those textbooks. If they didn't have their own laptop at home, we know how important that is to kind of accessing their education and their coursework. So we have a bank of laptops that we will loan out to students for over the 2 years. So if you think any of this criteria is relevant, what I'd say is please do apply, because this money's there, and I hate to give the government their money back when it's available to us. And we will assess the applications, and then based on the courses that they do and what we think they require for their education, we will then allocate those bursary payments. These payments do have to go directly to a student, so a student must have their own bank account for us to be able to make these payments. All the information is available on the website. I've popped the link at the bottom. Like I say, I will pop these slides with the links on at the end of the session on the website as soon as I can. But please do have a read through, and if you think it may be relevant, print off a copy of the application, or ask your son or daughter to ask one of us for a copy of the application, and everything's in there in terms of what information is required, and we will process those applications as soon as we can. Any of the bursary applications that are accepted, the first payment isn't until November, but it is backdated until September. So student will get a bigger first payment, and then they will roll forward, and it's always paid in the first week of each term. So students have the money there for term. Maybe it's to provide bus passes or travel support, for example. So if you do have any further questions about it, again, please feel free to email myself, and I'm more than happy to talk about how we can support. So some other bits of information: attendance and punctuality in sixth form. In the case of illness, we do ask that parents to either telephone the school on the sixth form number, which is on the screen now, or that they email us in. And I say we ask parents to do it. It's not because we don't trust our students, but what we will do is if students email us in and say they're not coming in or phone us in, we will just pop a text home to you just so you're aware, because we know that there are occasions where students may phone in sick when parents aren't aware, perhaps if you've left for work in the morning and they've not come in. So we will just kind of follow up on that. If when staff are taking their registers that students are marked absent and we haven't heard, you will receive a text message during the course of that session just to say that they haven't arrived for lessons, so you are aware. And we really ask that students have 95% attendance or above, because we know how quickly students can fall behind if they are missing lessons. So if we are concerned about attendance, we will work closely with them, and Mrs. Budden will work closely with them, and perhaps put in some extra study support to help them get back on top of their work. I'd also just really like to highlight that if a student is absent, it really is their responsibility to contact their teachers to collect that missed work. If they do email their teachers, teachers will tend to pop some information on Google Classroom or just ping them an email with what they need to do, because what we don't want them doing then coming back into lessons after and having missed a chunk of work. So if they can take that work away, and when they're feeling better, they can catch up on that work, it just means they're on top of their studies all their time. So a little bit about homework on sixth form. I know it's a dreaded word for a lot of people. I've got children in year 7 and 8, and I hear a lot about their views on homework as well at the moment. But homework in sixth form, again, is a little bit different, because it isn't always what is set by the teachers. We would expect students to be being set homework from all their subjects each week. But actually sometimes for homework from students is reviewing their lesson, or preparing revision materials, or doing prior reading ready for the next lesson. So that organisation and time management really is key for students in sixth form in terms of staying on top of their own learning. And we know students tend to be very good at kind of looking at what homework's been put on Google Classroom and doing it, but it's sometimes if they think they've done everything that they can do, we're sure there's something more they could always do. So again, talking to Mrs. Budden or myself or their tutors about what kind of things they could be doing to help them review learning or prepare for the next lesson would be a really beneficial task. At this point, we'd expect Year 12 students to be doing around 12 to 16 hours of private study a week. We expect that will probably go up to about 20 hours a week coming up to exam time, particularly at the end of this year and then again in Year 13. So we'll be talking to students just about how to manage that time and actually not thinking about homework as this one big chunk of something that looms over them at the end of the day. And that's why if they can use those private study sessions effectively in school, it really can take the pressure off and allow them to have a life outside school as well. So the final bit of information to share just before I share some dates with you really is part-time work and our guidance here. We really appreciate that students have part-time jobs. We think it's really beneficial and great for them to kind of explore and have this opportunity to earn their own money and pay for their own opportunities and develop their skills. But we really do recommend that students don't do more than 12 hours a week, because we know from experience that more than that, it starts to take priority over their academic studies, and we want them to get the best A levels they can whilst they're with us to help them on those next steps. We also ask, please, that it doesn't happen during school hours. Students might have these study periods on their timetables, but that doesn't mean that there won't be extra opportunities taking place in those times. So if they could keep their part-time work to outside of school hours, please, that would be best for them in order for them to access everything that they can in education as well. That Wednesday afternoon enrichment time is also not time for part-time work. I know we've been asked questions about that. So they might do work experience during that time to support their subjects and their future progressions, but their part-time work should not fall into their school hours. So some key dates for you. I'm going to put some more information out about key dates. I'll share with you where that information is on the website shortly. We have our sixth open evening coming up. I probably wonder why I'm telling you that, means they're already in sixth form, but this is our biggest event of the year, and it's earlier this year. It's the 20th of October. So we will be asking as many Year 12s and 13s as we can to come in and help with that evening and really show what sixth form's about. And it's really important that students hear from students. They want to know about their experience. So we will be talking to our Year 12 and 13 about that shortly. Year 12 do have a mock exam week in January. This is nothing for students to worry about at all. These mock exams take place within the classroom in a normal timetabled week, and it's really just to check how they've started with their courses and look at any further support they need throughout the year, and just to guide us for if any students maybe were struggling with particular subjects, whether we look at doing an exam entry if it's possible at the end of Year 12, and kind of making sure that we're on those right pathways. We will issue progress reviews shortly after those mock exams, which is followed closely by the Year 12 subject evening, where you will get a chance to speak to your son or daughter's subject teachers on that evening. That event will be a virtual event, again, as feedback's telling us that actually people prefer these events online rather than coming into school. We then have a bit of a gap. So at the end of Year 12, students have mocks, and during the mock period, which is programmed at the moment to start at the 19th of June and normally lasts for between 5 and 7 days, depending on how the timetabling goes. Students are off timetable for the end of Year 12 mocks, and they only come in for their exams. So they'll be in for their exams, and the rest of it is study time, and we'll work with students to support them on that. After that, again, we'll issue you a final progress review for the year, and it's at that point we start to write all the student UCAS references that go on file ready for Year 13. We don't send those references home at that point. They are there to feed into the UCAS process and guide predicted grades for the applications in January for Year 13 when those applications go in. The end of term for sixth form is no different to main school. It is the 21st of July, and there will be opportunities during the summer term for some enrichment, and I will be providing students hopefully with some more information very soon about some exciting opportunities that we're hopefully going to have to do something a little nice now the world is opening up a bit again. So a lot of the information I've shared this evening, can be found in the student handbook, and the student handbook is on our website. I've popped the address at the bottom, and that QR code, if anyone did want to scan it, will take you straight there. All students have a paper copy of this that they were issued on their first day. Again, it has key contact information in it, key progress review dates, inset dates, kind of rules and regulations, and just a bit more information about how we support students during their sixth form. So I do recommend it's really worthwhile just having a look at that. It's got everyone's phone numbers and email addresses in, etc. So thank you so much for logging in this evening, and I hope it's been useful information for you. If you do have any questions that you would like to contact us about, I can't see anything in the chat at the moment, but if you would like to email us, you can use the main sixth form email address, which is on the screen now. It's dm6form@cset.co.uk. Please always feel free to pick up the phone to us as well and ask to speak to myself or Mrs. Budden. We are always more than happy to have a chat and kind of offer support. And we know sometimes actually a phone call is just so much more effective, and we can get straight on that support there and then. I'm just going to pop up now tutor email addresses, and I will leave that up so you can see kind of the key contact details there. But if you're not sure where to go and who to kind of point that information at, like I say, please do feel free just to use that DM sixth form email address, and then that comes into our sixth form administrator, Tracy Barrington, who will then direct it accordingly. So thank you so much for attending this evening. Like I say, I hope it's been useful, and we look forward to working closely with you over the next 2 years. Thank you. Good night.